celebrating together so joyfully. Words pour out from our kind souls. There is no place for inflated egos. This place is home to you and me. Surroundings familiar, a community. Let's write the words from our minds. All those adventures will be sublime. This group belongs to the member poets, caring and sharing those precious moments. Let's laugh together, then share some tears, emotions displayed without anxiety or fear. Quill and Parchment Society, elevating poets, honoring art, enriching souls, celebrating community.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, Scarlett. Can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Yep, loud and clear. Your voice is right there. Hey, I see Mike Horsfall's joining us too on watching the show. Welcome, Mike. Good to see you here. Scarlett,
Hi.
we got a show planned. We got a bunch of stuff to read. Thank you very much. Zach is off on a holiday again. He does that every now and then, and I don't begrudge it, except he told me where he was going, and I would like to go there myself. West, out west. Nothing wrong with mountains and trees and all that. I'm sure he's going to have a great time. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Been a while since you joined us.
Yeah, it has. I don't actually remember what the last time I was on the podcast was.
I think it was in March. It was before you had started finals and stuff like that. I think it's what you'd said. You had a little bit of time at that point. So, yeah, the school stuff, right?
At this point, we are past finals. So I don't have
Yay. I'm sure that's a wonderful, wonderful relief. So this, I gave you the rundown of what we're going to do. I'll just go ahead and lead into it. This is our show where we get to announce Aaron Farrow as May's Poet of the Month. So I'm going to start there, and then we'll go into the regular reading list stuff, and then we're going to get to the collaborations that the group did. I think there was five teams of collaborators. So you're going to hear from poets maybe more than once this time, but it's going to be in collaborations and then their own work and things like that. So it should be a great deal of fun. We've got as always, a roller coaster to ride here, and it's always going to be a good time. So when you're ready, Scarlett. If you're ready, I'm ready. You know where we are. I sent you the link, so you've got that. So we'll
Okay,
start out.
if I pulled that up.
We'll start out right. We'll start out with Aaron's biography there. I just want to make sure it opens and everything works for you.
I am all set.
Okay. So this month for May, the poet of the month is our own Aaron Farrow. And this is what Aaron said about her poetic journey. I started writing at 13. It must have been my mother's pixie blood. I hadn't heard much poetry yet, but I wanted to write a eulogy for my ex-boyfriend. It's been about the senses and flowers ever since. Color played a lot in early works because I used to paint in oils. Poetry used to be my secondary. It was more when I couldn't get unstuck. I started listening to Poe when I was 10. The collected tales were on audio tape at the library, if I had ever had to name a first. Later at 14, and now would have to be Hemingway, which I adore Hemingway too, so I'm right on board there. I love how he paints pictures with words. Sylvia Plath, Jim Morrison, and Hunter S. Thompson were handed to me in my 15 to 20 phase. Then came Bukowski. Lord Byron has been the inspiration behind some of my recent works and randomness. Emily Dickinson helps. All poetry inspires me a lot too now, but I need to start in on some other greats. I try to write about life, love, and light whenever I can, now currently alongside my Christian spirituality. Sometimes the darkness bleeds through because when doesn't it? Not with us humans. Poetry gives me a voice when I feel like hiding. So that's a very similar but personal trajectory. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful to get to know that about Aaron. And Aaron has submitted a poem to be read too, and it is called I Am by Aaron Farrow. So I'm going to open that and I'll read it right now. I Am by Aaron Farrow. I am the dewy grass of fall. I am the answered call. I am the epitome of Eve's gall. I am the cool after the too warm. I am the forever morn. I am the eternal love sworn. I am the flowers after April's rain. I am the chaffless grain. I am the culmination of fame. I am part of the voiceless reflection. I am the wordless confection. I am the tearless state of dejection. Be free with me in malleable predilection. Be free to follow the wind's direction. End poem. What do you think of that, Scarlett?
I really like it. It's like this I am in everything type of feel, and I always love when that's a energy that someone can capture really nicely. Um,
It is nice when you can capture that energy, especially about yourself, because it takes an honesty to look within and say who you are and then describe yourself. I can tell you, Scarlett, and I don't know what you thought of this line, but the the line that really caught my attention. There was good lines all through. It was well done, but I am the chaffless grain. I pictured it
okay,
like
one
blowing in the
just
wind, how
that
they're
one
beating
stuck
it.
with
I'm sorry.
that one stuck with me too. I was looking at it.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. And as you were beginning to speak there, and I didn't mean to step on you. I just thought I'd get in there because it's been a minute and get you in rhythm pretty quick. Sometimes it takes a second to get going, but you're fine, Scarlett. You're absolutely fine, and your thoughts are much appreciated because I know you analyze poetry in a way that I don't, and that's so great. And it works with Zach too, because him and I are completely different people. So, anything you care to add to Erin's piece?
Um, I like the vocabulary style she's used for this, which is a weird thing to like hone in on, but I actually the long pause was me looking up a word.
Ah, okay. Which
Like
one were you looking up?
predilection, I couldn't remember what it meant.
Okay. Okay, it's funny because I like the way she played with those words. So if you want to continue, go right ahead. I didn't mean to step on you. I just didn't want you stuck there. If you were looking up a word, I just didn't want you to feel stuck there. So you can continue on with whatever your thoughts were.
Oh no, yeah, that was actually the biggest thought for me was I like the energy of it, and I just love the vocabulary she uses because it's words that I wouldn't typically see. So I actually had to go through and be
Right.
like, what does that mean again?
Yeah, it's funny because it's very Midwestern's what it feels like to me too. It felt like from my area and all that with the wind blowing and stuff like that. But there's a bounce between the darkness and the light, and not a negativity in it, because she said, "I am the forever morn." Knowing, once you go through so much, you'll be sad. There'll be that feeling that stays with you for the rest of your life. I am the flowers after April's rain. It's the beauty after the storm and all that. It's just, it travels so nicely. It's very well done. And it's such a simple piece that just goes into who she is as a person and as a poet. So, you ready to move on, Scarlett? I know who's next. I remember how I staged them.
Yeah, you set mine as next.
Yeah, yours is next. A parting kiss.
I'm assuming I'm reading my own piece.
I would like that, and I think everybody else would too. You'll read it better than I will.
Um, this is A Parting Kiss by Scarlet Knight. Her lips brushed mine after I'd already said goodbye, soft and gentle. You have to go now. Goodbye, I repeated bluntly. The dam's behind my eyes, but before my brain threatening to burst. I'd said goodbye, oh, so many times already. I know she'll be back later for her things, but this one feels final. I said goodbye, oh, so many times before, but this time I mean it. This is the end. I've cut the tie. End poem.
Good read, Scarlett, and clearly that's got something to do with a breakup and all that. It's fairly obvious. I'm going to read your author's notes if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, go
She
ahead.
kissed me. She kissed me before she left. My emotions couldn't handle such a gentle touch. After months of her absence, I had to say goodbye. That's. I could see when I read that and how your poem, your piece read there. There was lots of emotion to it and things like that, but it doesn't seem angry. It just seems emotional. And emotional is a wonderful thing. Being able to feel emotions and process emotions, even the negative ones, uh, you can't deny them, because if you deny them you're not fully functional as an emotional being. So you have to almost embrace the negative and the positive and stuff like that is what I've learned in my years. I used to avoid and just try to be happy, but if you're just happy, you have nothing to compare it to, so it's a lie. So every now and then you got to remember what it's like to be sad so you can feel happier when you're happy, if that makes sense. But I like this. I like the way this doesn't seem mean or disgruntled or angry or hateful in any way. It seems like it seems like there's an epiphany there. Like, oh, I really care for this person, even though we're going our separate ways. And that's what it comes off as. It's a very mature way to look at a breakup or a parting. So what were your intentions there, Scarlett? Did I get it?
Yeah, you're pretty in line. It isn't anger even remotely. If anything, it's sorrow almost.
Yeah.
Because as the author note states, this is a context, fairly recent breakup of mine that I'd gone through with one of my ex-girlfriends, and she had been absent from my life for a couple months prior to the breakup. So that final show of affection right before she left was just like kind of made me mourn what I was losing in that moment, but with the understanding that I could never go back to it type deal.
That makes perfect sense. But again, it's a very mature way of looking at the breakup and understanding the feelings that happen. So you did very well on writing that, on expressing your feelings to that end. Well done, Scarlett.
Thank you.
Anything more you got to say about it, or you want to move on?
No, I think that's the entirety of my thoughts on that piece.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward, I think. Well done, though. And you know as well as I do, sometimes you write it out and you write it out and you write it out again. And then eventually you move forward. That's how it happens.
Yeah, really.
Okay. So we're moving on here to a piece by Lowell called Candy Unwrapped. And that looks like a picture of Bruno Mars. So he must have been the inspiration for this. And I'll give it a read. Flirtatiously flirting, philanderer's eyes, with a body for sin, a head full of lies. This guy moves like Bruno, and damn, can he dance, with hips now gyrating in tight leather pants. So sure he's the bee's knees, that's fine honey trap, this fine honey trap, with words sweet as nectar. He's candy unwrapped. Flirtatious funny, and oh, what a smile. With lips so inviting and hands so tactile. This guy's like a magnet. He's pulling me in. Repelling is futile. He's under my skin. So sure he's the bee's knees, this fine honey trap. With words sweet as nectar, he's candy unwrapped. Flirtatiously flippant, out on the dance floor. As women draw closer, they're all wanting more. All pushing and shoving as they steal the show. Once he was hunter, now he's lying low. Flirtatiously female, the queen has arrived, a dominant presence. He'll never survive. Each word that he whispered, she already knew. He wasn't the hunter, just prey in her view. His confidence failing, now caught in her trap. As others start swarming, he's candy unwrapped. End poem. I'm sorry, Scarlett, I was about giggling all the way through that one. It was very amusing. I pictured the guy dancing. Please, your thoughts.
I I actually had to mute because I was laughing at it from like the first line. I love just flirtatiously flirting. Yeah. This is another one where I love the vocabulary used because it's again words I wouldn't see a lot, just especially in this context. Gyrating is a word that I just never see, and it's really funny every time I read it. Stuff like that. It's very descriptive of like the dude dancing, and then the woman shows up, and it's just like, oh, maybe I'm not so confident. Goodbye. Uh,
I I laughed internally and externally to the bee's knees. Seriously. You don't hear that phrase all that often anymore. It's an older terminology type phrase, but it cracks me up too. And along with the alliteration, it gave it a very, very fun context and rhythm. Loved
I
it.
just, I also love the way. Sorry, I love the
You're
way
okay.
they played off of the bee's knees into with words sweet as nectar, because that like
Uh
plays
huh.
into the bee theme. That I like theming.
It's very, very. It was connected on so many different levels. It really, Lal did a real good job bouncing us through that one. It made it absolutely a good time for me to read. And that's why I struggled through it, because I wanted to laugh even before I got too far into it. And not because it was really overtly funny, because it was so sweet and the picture was painted so well. You could just see this guy out there just dancing away. He said it doesn't matter if anybody else is having a good time, that guy is, and he's being hunted the whole time.
It's probably one of those everyone else is having a good time because that guy is having a good time, and it's like lighting up the room a little bit.
Right. And I don't know if you know much about Bruno Mars. I really don't. I know a little bit. I enjoyed his music right from the beginning, but I haven't followed his career. But he seems like the kind of guy that would have a good time wherever he was anyway. So appropriate use of inspiration there, I think. Okay, we gotta move on now, Scarlett. You get to read one. Let's see what you get.
This is Blue That Outlasts Me by, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this poet's name. Mindchild?
Yes, but it's Rain. Rain goes by Rain. Mindchild is the pen name.
Okay.
I know that because it took me. It's easier to say Rain than it is Mindchild too.
Okay, that's good to know. This is Blue That Outlasts Me by that person. I did not notice when it began, only that the color changed. Everything turned a kind of blue. I could not name without tasting it. Not sky, not water, but the diluted ache of something left open too long. It moves through me slowly, like pigment dissolving into a glass. No one remembers filling. By the time I spoke, it had already adjusted the sentence, softened the edges, replaced what might have been true with something safer, something that would not disturb the surface of anyone listening. It is not loud, it is precise. It arrives before I do, slips into thought while it's still forming, like a hand turning the page before I've finished reading it. I live inside the correction, inside the version that is allowed. There are other words, I know this, because I can feel them pressing, like something bruised beneath skin, or orchids kept too long in shadow, still blooming, their color leaning towards something colder than it was meant to be. Sometimes the pressure rises, not enough to break, only enough to remind me that there is more than what escapes me. I have learned to move with it, to smile before the thought reaches my mouth, to listen while something inside me is already answering differently. It performs me well. Better perhaps than I could do without it. No one notices what has been replaced, because the replacement is beautiful, because it is fluent. Because it does not tremble the way truth does when it's about to arrive. There is a clarity to it, like glass, like water, like tequila held to light, until it looks almost harmless. And that is the worst part. Nothing here appears broken. Only refined, only filtered into something that does not resist being accepted. But underneath, the original language remains, exact, unused, waiting in the mouth longer than it should, and sometimes it says itself, not aloud, not to anyone, but with a precision that fractures something internal enough to misalign the room, to interrupt breath, to make the body briefly unfamiliar. Because the sentence exists, complete, unforgiven in its accuracy, and it knows I am the one keeping it from the world. So it waits, not to be spoken, but to outlast me. End poem.
Great read, Scarlett. Took me a minute, still processing that one a little bit. Let's see. She says in her author's notes, I kept choosing what could be said. Free verse, personal, mental health, psychological. So I kind of gathered that there was a bit of struggle there, and there was mention, I don't think the clarity of the tequila was mentioned by accident either. I think it was, purposely placed there because maybe there was some issues with things, maybe self-medicating and things like that. I mean, everybody understands what that is. Sometimes, when we're struggling with things, we do self-medicate, and sometimes we think it works. And then we find out it really doesn't. It only covers it up, and the problems don't go away. The things don't go away. I enjoyed the way this was written because it was very intelligent. I think it was very intelligent and very honest. I don't think it hid behind anything. It was saying, kind of faking it till she makes it, in going through it, but not really exactly feeling good about it either. And the blue, the way it is titled, "Blue That Outlasts Me," makes perfect sense because the sadness that is there feels like it'll never go away. And that's, there's a little bit of a disturbing feeling to that, even though the poem wasn't really disturbing in and of itself. But, what it says is, am I going to be sad forever? Am I going to be sad forever is what it said to me. And that's a terrible thing to feel like you're dealing with. What are your thoughts, Scarlett?
I can absolutely see that. As someone who's not unfamiliar with mental health struggles, it feels a lot like, um, in a lot of ways, that it's talking about that like mask you throw over what you are struggling with so that people don't see it. Because I'm I'm trying to find. There's a particular line that really hit me. Um, and the worst part, nothing here appears broken because to everyone else you just look normal, but underneath you're screaming, and that's what this reminds me of in a lot of ways.
That's
Um,
where I got the fake it till you make it kind of feeling out of it. You're just going through the motions and hoping nobody notices. But then again, you kind of hope they do if they approach you the
mhm.
right way. But I mean, isn't it? It's a conundrum that you're in because you don't want to put it out there, but you want to be helped. You want to get past it. You want to be over it. Yeah, it's
And I,
a very well expressed, I believe.
yeah, and I can deeply relate to the feeling that those feelings that you're suppressing might just outlast you.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
that is so well delivered.
The thing about depression that people don't understand, and I have never went through clinical depression, but I understand what it is. I've been educated over time. Casually, it isn't just being sad. It's way worse than that. It is a blanket that lays on you, a heavy blanket that lays on you and stays with you. And it's not comforting at all. So yeah, it is very well written and delivered on those feelings.
A
Let's
steel
see.
blanket.
I'm sorry.
A steel blanket. For some
A
reason, that is the
steel
only image
blanket.
I could come up with based off what you
Right.
said.
What do you know? Do you know? Have you ever heard of weighted blankets? They're very popular now
I'm
because
quite
of
literally under one.
sensory. I'm sorry.
I'm quite literally currently in one.
So you know what they are. They're very comforting. Yeah,
Hmm.
we got a heavy down blanket, and I at first I fought it off. I was like, no, I don't want a heavy blanket. I don't want a heavy blanket, but it's so nice. It is. It's so nice. It's so comfy. Okay, moving on. What do we got now, Scarlett?
I believe this is your read.
It is my read. It's Polaroid. See, Zach always keeps me straight. That's why I, if I don't miss his voice and I don't miss his intellect and his analytical style and all that stuff, I'll always miss him keeping me in line
I
when
was
he's
also
not here.
trying to find where the piece was.
That's a good job stalling. Okay, it's Polaroid by Dark Night of the Soul, and I'll give that a read. It's the old photographs that fool you, like the one with your mom, long dead, your wrinkles gone, your waist a size 34, hair still sienna. Behind you both, the rose garden in brilliant crimsons. That was her pride and joy. And you suddenly realize you haven't pulled the weeds in 10, 12 years. And you ache for something you never liked doing because now it lives in places you keep everything you've lost. And that damned Polaroid is a souvenir of a time when you believed most of the pages in your book were still blank. End poem. Ooh, there's a little bit to unpack there, Scarlett. Go right ahead.
I First of all, I really liked this one. Just gotta say that off the bat. Um, because the description of the Polaroid like really drew me in. Because I could mentally envision that, and I could feel like um that longing for the past, even like the things that you didn't enjoy because it was simpler times, kind of. This piece I think illustrates that really well to me.
I Dark Night of the Souls. His screen name always cracks me up because he's not really dark. He's not. He's very full of wisdom, and he looks at things from so many different angles that I appreciate because we're about the same age, so we're similar in age. So I really get a lot of the things that he's putting down in his poetry, but this in particular, choosing Polaroid and just leaving it at that for the title leaves it open for about anything. You know that he's going to describe some sort of picture from his past or whatever, but the way he goes about describing it, like you pointed out, Scarlett, the most important aspect of this is he didn't much care for doing it when he had to do it back when he was a kid, but now that's what he wants. He wants that simple time. He wants that feeling of safety and when everybody was there. And he's mentioned, obviously it was just a slight mention, but he did mention his mother and what he looked like in the Polaroid, what he looked like. He's talking about his hair sienna and his waist size 34 and all that. It's really neat how he described this Polaroid picture. And a Polaroid picture is a very neat thing. They made a fortune in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s when they got those Instamatic cameras that developed those pictures instantaneously. Now, I know that sounds so funny to you right now because, obviously you've had a cell phone in your hand since you were probably born, but we used to do it differently back then.
I have a Polaroid camera.
That's it. Nostalgically, my daughter got one a couple years ago, a few years. It's been 7 probably for Christmas, and she shot the heck out of pictures. And there's a patina to it, a different kind of feeling with the process of a Polaroid camera that makes it spectacular, honestly.
I mean, there is a joy in instantly having that photo that you can hold and not just like a digital thing that exists in the void.
Right. It seems like it has more substance. I mean, that's why you go back to the old glass prints and things like that. They're so valuable. They're just neat and fragile and fun to have. I mean, I'll sit down with my mom and my stepmom from time to time, not very often anymore, but go through photo albums, actually hardbound photo albums. You want to talk about a trip, stepping back into time. It's such a wonderful feeling. Okay, now we're going to move on to, we've got the next one. You ready for it?
That should be Containing Joy by Noel Nightshade.
Yep, sounds like the one I got.
Alrighty. Containing joy in studio flats, no backyard to grow flowers or keep piglets in barns, dreams found in small trinkets and miniatures, a ballerina figurine spins, wobbling on the jewelry box in intoxicating splendor. breathing in the scent of the new world, deconstructed by its material, a heavy burden. Pulling the curtains aside, letting the light from the kingdom to burn bright, the plastics in my collection. End poem.
I started thinking maybe this was a dollhouse or something containing joy in studio flats.
I think
So I thought, yes, I thought it was an environment within an environment, no backyards to grow flowers. And then she switched to the natural part of it and started talking about the things that she's doing to make her interior more exterior, in touch with the exterior, the nature and things like that. And it is wonderful to have those plants. My wife keeps plants hanging and she talks to them and she does things like that. And I deeply appreciate it. I do, because it makes our home feel less, I don't know, plain, dull. There's all sorts of activity, and don't get me started on the animals. She's in there with a kitten right now, having the time of her life. But house plants are important to keep you connected, especially if you're in a city and there's all this bustling activity and horns honking and peopling all the time and everywhere. It would just be nice to sit down and talk to the plants and enjoy their beautiful, beautiful lives. Blooms or not, they're beautiful lives. What are your thoughts, Scarlett?
Well, I am a lover of plants as well. I actually had a pretty different take on it because I wasn't thinking plastic plants. I was thinking, or potted plants. I was thinking like she's talking about trinkets and miniatures and this ballerina on the jewelry box, and I'm picturing like a little collection of stuff, like a shelf of collected trinkets on the windowsill, kind of, because of the pulling the curtain aside, laying the light from the kingdom to burn bright, the plastics in my collection. I put it on the windowsill mentally because it's just those little things that bring you joy when you're relegated to such a small amount of space. Those little
Right.
things you can collect that'll make you happy.
So now it's funny you say that, because I understood that too. But the understanding I had was from the beginning containing joy in studio flats. Like, it's really hard to contain joy in a small apartment. It's the first thing I was like, that's so true. And no backyards to grow flowers. So I immediately went to plant some plants in the house and all that, or keep piglets in barns. That's kind of why I went that way. I was like, oh, her trinkets, her things that she's keeping is maybe a plastic piglet on a shelf, a plant, a house plant here, a house plant there. So she's manufacturing this whole environment, and we're along the same line, Scarlett. It's just you concentrated more on the plastic figures, and I concentrated more on the whole environment. So I don't think either of us are wrong. I think we both got great joy out of it for our own reasons, and that's exactly why we read poetry and discuss it. So I appreciate your take on that.
Yeah, I like yours.
Well, thank you. See, it's just outside the box. It's fair that way, right? now, I think this one's probably not going to be as fun. It's going to be fun, guaranteed, but it's not going to be as funny, I would say. Just judging by the title. It's titled Morning Cigarettes by Hint. So it's very thought-provoking in the title, because that's what I think of if I still smoked cigarette and coffee in the morning while I sit and think. Morning Cigarettes by Hint. Lights still on since 4:30. Salt stains white on the rug by the door. Frost on the pane, sky gray and low. Beetroot slice, red in the snow. Kettle of iron and tulip. Kettle of steam and blue lit. Coat on the chair on the hallway floor. Valia has the keys if you want to stay. Want to stay? Siren goes off down Lennon Street. Moon still pale, still on your skin. Dead river shivers, ice in the spring. Little hearts beat, looking for meat. Everything's sweet, everything's sweet. Ducks press tight, close to our feet. Don't know the way I want it to be. Don't want to believe you won't talk to me. Talk to me. Sparkle, sparkle, what a show. Cigarette smoke and amber glow. Clip my jeans with clothespin. Take me on a ride to K-side, K-side. But nothing ever stays the same. Tears frozen on the face. Sleep, sleep, sleep. In poem. Yep.
Yep, that one.
That was delightful, though it was.
It's very nice. It's definitely a different mood than the one we've been uh on though. Which isn't that just the joy of this? Um, this builds emotion really well. Like that feeling of, I want to say, loneliness. It almost feels in mourning to me, and I can't figure out why. I also don't know what Quayside, where that is, and I'm mildly fixating on that right now. Looking it up.
Oh, I was on mute. I said, you want to look it up, Scarlett? I'll buy you some time if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was curious about that too. Yeah, so I actually, as I read this, was a little, I didn't know if it was a dark, angry piece. It's not angry. It isn't angry, but it's definitely dark. And it mentions some things, beetroot slice, red in the snow. You know, that to me sounds bloody. It sounds like a problem. And light's still on since 4:30. So that sounds like somebody was sleepless. They couldn't go to sleep and they were fixating on something and they were trying to go through it, and they're trying to get to sleep after some traumatic event, a breakup or something is in there, because it's alluded to, not even lightly, it's alluded to pretty strongly, really. So did you find K-side?
Yeah, it is the area of the land immediately surrounding or bordering a quay, which a quay is a wharf or dock. So it's
Okay.
that area like right by the water where the ships come in.
Okay.
Building off of what you just said, by the way, I had almost the feeling that it's staying up waiting for someone you know is never gonna come home. Whether they have passed on or there was a breakup or something. I was leaning towards passed on given the kind of bloody imagery of the like beetroot in the snow, and like kettle of steam and a blue lip could be just the lip of the kettle, but it also makes me think of like when the blood drains
Cold.
from someone's face and their lips
Yeah,
are
right.
literally blue.
No, and actually looking up K-side, you looking that up opened up a lot of the thought process, because I agree with exactly what you're saying there now after you told me what K-side was, and it makes perfect sense. Like they're waiting on someone to come home, and they could be a little bit reminiscent of some of the things that they seen with that person at some point in time, because they're mentioning all these specific things that have some sort of value to the story being told, but it's just written in such despair. And this was actually picked for a front page pick one day ago, so congratulations on that. And it is a very deserving piece, in my opinion. Now, it's one also that I'll probably go back and read again, because a lot of times after I cold read one and then we discuss it on the show, I go back and read it again and see what details I can pick out, because you can't be perfect on a live show with a cold read and discuss it. But I like to, between the two of us, like we just did there, Scarlett, get the gist of it and hopefully
Mm-hmm.
make the poet feel really good about what they wrote and how it reached us. And that's what we do.
I think I figured out the emotion of the piece before I actually figured out the meaning. Like I got there
It's funny.
emotionally. I had to do a Google to figure out the rest of it.
That's the way I relate to poetry too. It's more on an emotional level than a cerebral level. So I tend to pick up the emotion that somebody's writing before necessarily the hard points. And that's okay. I mean, that's just the way I understand emotionally. That's what the emotion of poetry, that's why I feel it so well. Oh, let's see. We ready to move on?
Yep. I believe the next one is Silk Threads and a Waterproof Coat by Mike Horsfall. Horsfall? I don't know.
Horsfall, yep. He was actually on when we first started, but he lives in the UK. And he said he couldn't stay up any longer, so if we'd have had him
It's like
earlier,
midnight
he'd have been
there.
able to hear his. I'm sorry,
I hope
Scarlett,
he
what'd you say?
I said
Oh,
it's
he'll
like
listen to
midnight
it.
there.
Yeah, he listens to them in the archive. Silk Threads and a Waterproof Coat by Mike Horsfall.
I believe this
There
is
are
mine.
times.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah. You read the last
See?
one.
What'd I say? That's why I miss Zach, because he keeps me in line. Well done,
The real
Scarlett.
reason
You're
you
up
have me
then.
on. There are times I sit with pen in hand, staring into the blank heart of the unmarked page, as it were a pond and I a boy with no fish to show. Words won't come, as stubborn as a mule, having wandered off to some far corner of the farm. I am left with the rustle of wind, the idle chatter of the keyboard ticking time away. Yes, in an old world style I toy with rhymes, ABAB, or sometimes sonnet like an antique practice. I count on fingers aloud like a child lost in his first arithmetic. A bit of drama to lend the stage some mystique. I'm not here to boast, certainly not to preen. Go on, deliver your critique, let it fall wherever it may. Criticism slides right off this waterproof coat. But these scribbles, these lines, they prop me up, a wooden cane for the mind. They're the spinning of dreams into a kind of silk thread. Each word an attempt to touch, to feel, each period a small stop sign halting the flow. I confess a simple truth. No silver tongue is mine. I am the broken typewriter, keys jammed mid-sentence. I am the stuttering poet, words spilled in disarray. Yet, O reader, with your sharpened gaze, peruse these lines where effort outweighs talent. See this dyslexic jester juggling letters, more for his own amusement than the court's adoration. And so I concede defeat, the white flag raised. This canvas remains blank, the brush is dry. After all, the stars remain untouched by my reach, the bard's crown resting on another's head. End poem.
I'm sorry, I was giggling at the starkiness. It's only a very simple author's notes that says, title changed from I'm a loss to write. So he changed the title from I'm a loss to write to Silk Threads and a Waterproof Coat. I I really love this about the discussion. Anytime a poet puts their own stamp on what is writer's block or even self-doubt, because there's a little bit of that in here too. He's talking about, not being the greatest poet. I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but it was so clever. And this is one thing. This Mike does a lot of things very well. So this is very tongue in cheek as I'm listening to you read it. It's very tongue in cheek because I know how Mike writes, and he writes wonderfully, and he's very, very good at making his points and making them from the right direction to make them really stick. So he's done so much here, and I love the way this closes. And so I concede defeat, the white flag raised. This canvas remains blank. the brush is dry. After all, the stars remain untouched by my reach, the bard's crown resting on another's head. So I think that's an ode to other poets too, saying, everybody else is writing, and sometimes getting into the rhythm of it when you are suffering writer's block or something like that, you're uninspired. You want only to be inspired, where you can just churn them out like you used to do or like you're used to doing. And then you realize, well, wait a minute, I don't have anything to write about. And it's a little depressing. And then every day that goes by, there's more pressure and more pressure and more pressure. And you just feel like you get disgusted. I've been disgusted with myself, thinking, my gosh, I can't even write a stupid limerick. And limericks are just fun and silly. You can write anything. And I can't even come up with a limerick idea. But being uninspired is exactly that, being uninspired, and it all passes. You just never know how long it's going to take until you get back to it. And then you'll write one line and everything will take off. So if this piece specifically came from a period where Mike Horsfall was feeling uninspired, he sure got inspired by being uninspired, didn't he, Scarlett? Your thoughts?
I I do find joy in the he got inspiration from being uninspired, because that's really silly, and I respect that. I just, on a actual having tried to verbally read this level, and this may partially just be that I am a little bit dyslexic, his use of alliteration got me tongue-tied a few times, which I feel like almost adds to the feeling of the piece. Like, that struggling with writing paired with that tongue-tied feeling, um, and now I can't come up with words. Uh, especially on, and again on, I can't find the line. Keyboard ticking time away for some reason. Like, that alliteration is really great, but it also kind of adds to that rhythmic feeling, especially if I flub the line and add too many T's. Um,
This was funny, wasn't it? And fun. It really was. It was so fun to hear you read it. And you did very well reading it, because what you said there, Scarlett, and I haven't really ever said this to too many people, but I'm mildly dyslexic myself. I read very slowly. I don't read fast because I do have a tendency to displace letters occasionally. It's not all the time, but I do. And it's a weird thing that I've gotten used to in my 52 years, because I comprehend fairly well at a high level, but I just don't read fast. And it's because I'm mildly dyslexic. Runs in my family.
Ironically, the word in that piece I struggled the most to read was the word dyslexic.
I always say dyslexic. I know, and that is a horrible thing, but it's because it reminds me of what the word means. It's so weird how you do things in your brain, but we all have our weirdness, but I understand completely where you're coming
I
from.
do love the usage of a lot of alliteration in this, because it does really add that.
It adds a bounce and a funness to a piece that may not have been so fun otherwise, doesn't it? Alliteration is so much fun. It really is. Now, on a related topic, I was actually in a discussion this week about limericks and the rhythm of a limerick and stuff like that. Do you know how difficult it is to write a limerick that makes you sad?
Remind me what a limerick is? Unironically, I can't
Hickory,
remember off the top of my head.
there once was a man from Nantucket. That's how they start. Things like that.
Oh,
There's a rhythm. 5 lines, and it's silly. It has a twist, and it's all silliness. The first 2 lines and the last line rhyme. And I think it's like 7 to 9 syllables per line. So they hard rhyme the first 2 and the last line. And then the The third and fourth are shorter syllables, but they rhyme. So it's AABBA.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I do know what that is. I just
And they're always silly and they have some twist and some weirdness. But the discussion was, have you ever read a limerick that really made you sad? The rhythm doesn't allow for it.
it's
Just like
certainly a challenge. I might put up a contest to see if anyone can manage it.
I thought about the same thing to see what kind of twisted, warped people are out there that can write a limerick that is sad. Okay, where are we at, Scarlett? We kind of got off topic there, but it was a good
I
off topic, I
believe
think.
the next one should be a fresh coat of paint. Um,
Hey, that's the one I opened.
and that's your read.
Yep, by Jeg325, a fresh coat of paint. It's a beautiful picture too. Looks like a puzzle. Honestly, looks like a jigsaw puzzle before it's cut up. I saw it. Ironically enough, the first line is I saw it too. I saw it sitting there on a cloudy, windswept day, an old run-down ghost town whose glory had faded away, frayed, worn, and tattered, like people sometimes get, where spirits of memories danced in the fresh coat of paint in poem. So true.
I may have lost connection for a second and missed a chunk, so if you could respond to this one first
Okay.
while I
Yeah,
get there.
it's pretty straightforward. It's this is a I seen it flash up there. It said network unstable, check your connection, and it was you, not me. I'm still it says excellent. It makes me always feel good about me when it says excellent right on the screen. Uh, but Jeg's poem here, A Fresh Coat of Paint, clearly it's straightforward what he's talking about here. You can't cover something up, its age and wisdom, by just putting a fresh coat of paint on it, which is absolutely true metaphorically, but it's realistic. Yeah, that's why the metaphor works. So if you take, say, an older person that has all these miles on him or her, and they get a haircut or they get some new clothes or whatever they get to make themselves feel and appear to be younger or more virile than they were before, it's still just for show. The bones and all that, they're still the same age, the same patina is there, and that's all this piece is really saying. I am going to read his author's notes. I saw an old ghost town and heard the ghosts of two old toothless miners dispense an ancient bit of wisdom. See Garden Delight's poem of the same title. And I know Garden and Jeg 325 do this. They're uh, very, very close as far as writers, and they will write on the same prompt separately to see what each other come up with. And it's really cool that way, because that's something that you do with somebody to see what their mind brings. It's a great mind exercise, and I like what Jeg did with this, because he does very well with these little brevities. It's like his I say this all the time with him. I feel like I beat it to death, but this is his style. This is his chosen style. So I could go through, you could probably put 50 poems in front of me and only one be written by Jeg 325, and I could see very clearly and quickly which one is his, like in a photo lineup. I can see which one's his, because he's refined his skill in this um, format so finely.
Does have a very distinct
He
style.
he does, and it's great. And I would him adding more words would take away from the beauty in his writing, I think. So he does very well with it. Okay, your thoughts, Scarlett? You're back with me loud and clear.
Yep. I had to double check that I knew what the chunk I missed was because my internet decided to give up for a second there. This is one I actually have read before now that I'm looking at it because I can see I commented on it. Um, And I stand by what I said in my comment of this is beautifully descriptive and really well written. I love the like imagery of the ghost town he built. Um, like it's not visual imagery, but it's emotional imagery almost. Like you can feel the town. It does help that there's a picture, but you can feel the town and the energy in it. And I do think you hit the meaning of the piece bang on. I agree with you entirely on that one.
Yeah, John does a fine job describing what he wants to describe in such short stanzas and sentences and all that. His brevities he's great at it. I'm glad you enjoyed it too, and I'm also glad you're back with me loud and clear. I was getting nervous there for a minute. I thought I'd have to finish the show on my own when the panic button. I was looking for it. Let's see.
Oh, I think my internet just took a second to get.
Yeah, right. It happens with Zach too. I don't understand it. Just every now and then it just loses its mind. It's like, hey, guess what, Zach? Scramble and get back here. And it's happened to me once. I started bugging out one time. I was like, oh dear God. There's a lot of pressure to get back to it. You're like, oh no. All right. Where are we at now? We're at Pac-Man's piece, I believe.
Pac-Man's piece of Where Is It They've Gone, and I believe that is my read.
Is this the first time you've read Pac-Man out loud?
I don't believe so. I think I read one of his pieces in the first time I was on here.
One of the poets I really enjoy reading because you never know what's going to come from it, but it's always so intelligently written and so descriptive. You can tell Pac-Man is our elder statesman as far as I know, and you can tell his wisdom is much greater than mine. So please feel free to read. You'll enjoy it.
Where Is It They've Gone by Pac-Man. We let them go with hearty voices raised for all to hear. Shall we one day rue our choices and wish we'd kept them near? Where is it they've gone, whole and handsome, holding banners high and proud, with a song on their lips, our nation's anthem, and thoughts of victory thus endowed? Our hearts go with them all in all happenstance, though we've little concept of what is war. We pray for them to avoid mischance. Thrust they be to its bloody maw. Keep them safe in passage is our ardent plea, while awaiting our lives to retrace. Let not a hint of failure exist within decree. We yearn to hold them in loving embrace. Whisper of conflict's end has touched upon our ear, our hearts enthralled that this be true, that we may hold them fast after these many years, and resume our lives anew. The wharf is awash with joyous throng, as our brave soldiers are welcomed home. The vessel has emptied, I fear something's wrong. Am I left to wander these meadows and roam? Where is it you've gone, whole and handsome, holding your banner high and proud? You've given a measure more than some, and forsaken that with which you vowed. End poem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that got serious as you read down it, didn't it? It was just a descriptor there for a while. It was a good time, and then something started happening, didn't it?
I think you could hear me realize what was going on.
That's what I love about this format, Scarlett, that we do. The live cold reads is so wonderful because the poet gets to hear your voice cracking and breaking as he twists you around and takes you where he wants to take you. And I personally love that. It's like a roller coaster ride in the brain. It really is. And honestly, Pac-Man does a very good job at this because it was just tra-la-la, really fun. It's like, oh, it's a beautiful scene. He's at the wharf and the ship's coming home and blah, blah, blah. But then the soldiers are not exactly welcomed back and they all don't return. And it's just kind of craziness then because you're thinking about so many other things. You're like, oh, this is a wonderful scene down by the wharf where the boats come back in. And then all of a sudden it's sad. And you're like, when did that happen? When did I just get sad here? I don't understand. Like, there's definitely a line of delineation, but it's like when an artist blends a visual artist can blend their paint and make a color go from blue to green, and you don't see the transition because it's so smooth. That's what he does to us here. And I appreciate that greatly. And he's really good at it. He rhythms you into the piece because it read very well too. And you're in that rhythm and you're feeling the joy and the description of you're like, oh, what a beautiful scene. And then whammo, next thing you know, you're like, what the hell happened there? Why am I so sad all of a sudden? So he did exactly what he wanted to do. Your thoughts, Scarlett, go ahead.
I figured out, I think by the second stanza, that it was a commentary on war and thus was probably going to get heavy. But what really killed me was that the second stanza is, where is it they've gone the whole and handsome, holding the banners high and proud. That's when I first realized we were talking about war.
Mm-hmm.
And then it repeats at the bottom, and that got me.
Drives it home. Yeah.
Where is it you've gone? That just... And he does have some really, nice imagery, and again, words I wouldn't typically run into on a day-to-day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thankfully, I had time to Google them while you were talking.
That is one of the benefits of me blathering on. The wife mentions it from time to time that I am a windbag, an incessant windbag. So I will buy you time if you need it, Scarlett, anytime, as you're commenting, if you need to look up words. I
am listening to what you're saying.
No,
I'm just also Googling words.
No, It's great that you can multitask because I can barely stay on one. I always loved to read Pac-Man's writing because he writes a lot of stuff about Vietnam era things and stuff like that. And there's just been so many deeply emotional pieces that make you feel like, where does he get all the inspiration? And like I said, he's our elder statesman, I believe. So he's probably, been through a lot of things that we can't understand exactly except for through his writing, but he expresses them so well all the time. I've never been let down by any piece he's ever allowed us to read. It's always been a great honor. So I suppose we need to move forward, and I don't know where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Waiting by Garden Delights, and this is the first of the collabs.
Oh, with Jeg 325, collaboration number 1. Waiting. Let's see. I gotta look, Scarlett, and make sure we're on pace here because I did it like 2 separate shows. So let's see. That's me,
okay.
You, me, you, me. Yep, we're good. Okay, so I'll read this one. Waiting. This is by Garden Delights and Jeg 325. This is the first of the 5 pieces that were a collaboration project for our group. And I don't think when we started this, you were doing finals, I believe, Scarlett. You were doing finals and didn't join in.
Did not participate in this.
So what we did basically was just allowed people to pick their partner if from the people who wanted to enjoy a nice collaboration with a fellow group member. They did their collaborations, and then we put them all together and put them on the tail end of this show. There's 5 of them, so we're going to represent, there'll be 10 poets represented here. And this one is the first one by Garden Delights and Jeg 325. I'm going to read the author's notes first. That way, on collaborations, it's pretty important. That way, if there's any denoting of who wrote what, you know who did what, okay? So with Jeg 325, this is a collab between Garden Delights and Jeg 325 for the Quill and Parchment Society. 100 words, no AI text, image credit unknown, and it is titled Waiting, again by Garden Delights and Jeg 325. Evening stretches out like a slow waking jaguar. The night air broods, having seen empty streets of late, way too devoid of small feet at play. Water laps gently against mortared stone landings, licking up the last dregs of summer fun. Chilly weather announces winter's leading edge as heavy fog rolls in, bringing cold that echoes within human bones. Small fishing boats cluster in calm water, waiting for fairer weather. Some catch up on desired rest time, while others seek needed socializing. I'm sorry. Silence waits to wrap all in its kingdom. The quiet sought with greed, like a hunger rarely satisfied. In poem. Ooh, that was delightful. Go ahead, Scarlett.
I really like how these two poets like styles work together. I think I can kind of see who's who just a little bit, um, based on having read a lot of works from both. Um, but the styles work really, their writing styles work really well together and make for some really interesting like imagery as well, I think. I like the lead-in of just evening stretching out like a slow waking jaguar. Like, what an imagery. What an image. The words. I don't quite know if I fully caught the meaning of this one, but I like the imagery. That's kind of where I'm at.
So I believe, Scarlett, that there is no real metaphorical meaning to this as much as it is just writing the emotion of what they get from this picture. So, if I'm not mistaken, that's London because you see
Oh,
the
that's the Big
clock.
Ben.
Do you see the clock in the picture?
Yeah, the Big Ben.
Right, Big Ben. I couldn't remember what it was called. Thank you very much. I called it a clock. It's Big Ben. Thank you. But that is a picture
Large clock.
of an old picture of the river. What is it? Is it the Thames? I can't remember what runs through London.
That one I couldn't tell you.
I can't remember what runs through London, but it was a high trafficked river that barges and stuff like that floated on, and obviously these have sails and stuff. But they're describing this eerie kind of change where maybe it sounded like winter was coming, but not quite here, and they were having these cold days, and there's this harsh chill that echoes through a man's bones and stays within him. But the way it opened, evening stretches out like a slow waking jaguar. What a beautiful line that just describes the evening coming on and staying there. And the grayness of the picture, it has to be London because London fog, grayness, and all that. So I think they did very well. And I'm like you, I'm not going to commit to saying I know who wrote what stanzas and who wrote where, but I think I've read both these poets enough to where I know which is which. And that is the beauty of the exercise that we did within the group, because we've been a group for 8 months, 8 months now, something like that when we started up. And people should be getting to know each other fairly well and understand and read each other's writing and know, styles and things like that, and who they mesh well with and who they may not or don't get. And as we get to know each other, it just grows. So this is from a group that a collaboration group that were friends before they came into our group. I just learned that a couple weeks ago, actually. So they were friends and they come to the group together. I think, if I'm not mistaken, John joined first because I've been reading him for quite some time. I can't remember where I run into him, but I brought him into the group because I've always appreciated his poetry since I first started here, and Garden Delights come with him, and we're glad to have them both. So, you ready to move on to the next one, Scarlett?
Yep. That should be Mountainside Masquerade. That's what that word is. Goodness.
Yeah, that's funny because I stuck on that too when I read the title. If you would like, go
Um,
ahead and read the author's notes first, Scarlett.
I was going to. I also
Okay.
just wanted to comment you were correct. The Thames is the one that runs through London.
Yeah, that's right. Blind dog finds a bone every now and then.
So the author's note says, with Noel Nightshade, romantic gothic collaboration between Harmo Neurotica and Noel Nightshade. To be read on the collab episode of the Quill and Parchment Society, Image, Hours, AI. That's the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Zach does these images. He always has, and he's good at it. I
It is a gorgeous
used
image.
to ask him if he did the images before he wrote the piece or if he did the images after the piece, because to me that would be harder, but I'm not a visual guy. So anyway, please, whenever you're ready, Scarlett.
Two candles light below darkened arches, spiraling overhead. Orbits spring orbs ever closer, pinprick blazes illuminate. Masked the faces, the wolf, his candle held close to the breast. He looms over her gem-encrusted tiara. She advances with certain strides, both gazing in the space of eyes, obscured by animal masks, a panther her candle draws near. When meeting in the middle, twin flames become one, music erupts from side balconies. It's a masquerade ball, an easy waltz. Flirting with danger in the mountainside chalet, snowflakes flurry inside. The ghostly conductor of the choir waves batons to the sky. A silky smooth melody follows their gliding steps into the candlelit hall. Winter roses emerge from slumbering underneath a thin blanket of snow. Ivy climbs high. Ivy climbs stories high, reaching the shimmering chandelier. Fresh pine trees sway in the night's hum, and the choir crescendos, candlelit dims. In nude they prance amidst an unusual forest, and frolic in a meadow with a view of the snow-capped crests. Mountain tops and tree canopies tower high above the naked dancers, all guards stripped away. Sunlight cascades upon them, faster they move. Stride and step, the music tempo speeds, and the wind gusts. She tosses her ponytail back, face upturned, prancing with him. Wild, free, wolfish smiles filled with unmasked glee, fangs unleashed. Paces increase, a lengthy pause, breaths heard above the din, slow, elegant piano chords echo. They hold in a tighter, they hold on tighter, moving center. A bashful sun hides, the moon rises, pale light in their glade. Stars twinkle brightly in their midst, with twilight solemn gaze. Two lovers hold hands, kissing in a field of lavender. The wind stirs aromas, trembling, trumpeting moonflowers sigh relief, soaked in showers. They continue their waltz, soft keys pressed travel through the forest pines. Tiptoeing on wet grass, bodies embrace, birds sing along. The pink moon climbs higher, shining on the deep purple meadow. From dusk until dawn, in each other's arms, they wake up on a soft bed, hearts flame melting the snow away, spring awakening within them. End poem.
That was a little bit of a longer piece there, Scarlett. Did it feel like you were reading a long piece?
Um, Not at first. I think I started to flub my words a bit towards the
I
end, but
actually,
that's just
I was going to say you read it very well. I thought you read it very well in rhythm and all that. And these are longer stanzas, and you caught the rhythm. So I felt like the way you were reading it, it was written very, very well to a reader. It had a very nice, almost like a waltzy rhythm to it, is what it felt like to me. Like it was dun, 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 is
I
kind of how it felt.
this,
And
this is entirely random, but the way I was reading it was actually more in the style of how I read Edgar Allan Poe.
now, is that like sonnet style, like that?
I don't know.
Alternating. I know it's just weird how we all kind of we get our own things. But I felt like whatever rhythm you caught there, you caught the rhythm of the piece. You weren't stretching it out or anything like that. You really represented the way the piece was written, because I was reading along with you and I was like, oh, that's nice. That feels very, very elegant, like an elegant dance is what it felt like. And I think with Zach and Noel, the way they wrote this, it not only does the rhythm come out that way, but the words come out that way too, in a very soft, sweet, not overly sensual, but a very kind and loving, with those hints of the masquerade, which is one of those words I love to look at more than I love to say, if that makes any sense. I love to look at that word more than I love to say it. I don't know why. It's a weird thing. Phonics wise, it doesn't work.
I may be the opposite.
It doesn't work for me. You don't like looking at it, but you like saying it. Well,
My brain cannot comprehend it when I try to read it, but it is a good word.
Right. It's funny. It's another one I've got that just fascinates me is carbuncle. I don't know why, but I love that word. I can't tell you why. I just love it. But let me get back to this. This was a very, very beautiful piece as far as demonstrating there, because I can tell you honestly, I don't know who wrote what stanza. I don't.
I couldn't tell you either.
So that is one thing that you can say about them as a collaboration team, is they are absolutely on the same page and flawlessly smooth together. And it shows in the writing. It's a beautiful piece to read. Do you have anything else to say? Anything else you care to say?
I like that it's not like explicit, but it does hint towards sensuality in a way that I really like, which is quite rare coming from me.
I am exactly the same way. Actually, Zach and I have had this discussion too. Neither of us, we want the hint of sensuality because we are adults. We understand there's sexuality and stuff like that. But when people just want to write dirty pieces that don't elicit any emotion and it's just physical, it's pointless to me. I don't appreciate those kind of things. I will fight for their right to write that stuff because I believe everybody has their own opinions and they do matter. It's just not something that I enjoy. I like that sweet sensuality that hints at it, that walks up to the line, that lets you know there's real passion bubbling under the surface, but you don't have to see it.
It is definitely written in a way that is beautifully intimate, and I really like that. And I like that the two poets' voices blend in a way that I genuinely couldn't tell you who's whose. And I think that really adds to that feeling.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I've known Zach since basically my first group here at All Poetry. And I've known him a little bit. I got to know him a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And we became friends. And him and I are aligned. Our opinions are the same about what is acceptable to us, what is palatable to us versus what may be palatable to other people. And I'm really glad that I was introduced into Gothic poetry by him and a few other poets because I never really appreciated it. I never appreciated the emotion underlying. It was just always like, to me, it was like a bad vampire movie. I just didn't get it. And then I opened up to it and I started understanding it. And now I can write it fairly well. I'm not as polished as what this is, I don't think, in my opinion, but I've gotten way better at it whenever I attempt to do it. So we learn by mimicking others, by learning from them and all that. This beautiful piece. So let's see, what do we got next? I recognize this one.
As Fear Tries, which I bet you would recognize it given you helped write it.
I have no idea what it's about. I'm just kidding. As Fear Tries.
I have questions.
Okay, this is written. It was written for a contest. It's called As Fear Tries, was born from a shared recognition that fear in all its forms is not merely something we experience. It is something that attempts to separate us. It narrows perception, distorts voice, and draws us inward until we feel alone. within our own corridors of thought. This collaboration resists that isolation. Written as alternating voices, the poem reflects this tension. What begins as distance gradually becomes resonance as two perspectives echo and intertwine within the same confined space. Bill and Shyamalan. Okay, As Fear Tries. And this did receive silver, which I am very proud of. It received silver in that contest, and I appreciate that Shyamalan shared the image with me to write to. It's titled As Fear Tries. Flickering filth light flays through the frame. A corridor coils, close breathed, calling our names. Damp dread drips down the dimly lit divide. Fear finds for its kindred, feels for a mind to confide. Lonely chants echo from the east and the west. Words wait and taunt down the hall behind our bated breath. Your haunts reach, remain resonant in this heathen's head. My thoughts are smiles, eternally eerie, gathering like the undead. But you, soft savage, singing through the stain, made the madness of music, made morrow from pain. Not grammar nor grid, but a giving, a glide. Life broke us to fall into line, but we slipped aside. All we do now is mind-bending rhyme, refined, a fevered forging of fractured lines. The window weeps light into what once was so dank and dreary, our never-ending vestibule, where we would ponder every query. Like Romanian romantics, we're tempted by blood-stained past, or tempered by blood-stained past. We wear armor of hardened steel, shaped, hammered, built to last. Morticia Adams murmurs in your moon-bitten mirth, while I, tattooed in tremors, take terror to earth. We waltzed with the wretched, with whispers that bled. Like Vlad the Impaler, we banqueted dread. A sickness slowly built in us like an infectious feral curse. The curse for what ails is expressing our thoughts with verse. They are yours, they are mine, and our timeshare makes us friends. Down the hall, I face the east, as midnight inevitably descends. Fear slick and sentient still seeks our souls, but finds us fast fused in a feeling it stole. Through shreds, threads, colors chaotically whole, we laugh, we lament, as fear tries to take hold. This ever-damning distance confounds and confines, while shackles of imprisonment do their worst to shore the bind. Struggling for connection, wondrous words become the key. They free us for these moments from the fear in you and me. End poem. What are your thoughts, Scarlett?
I I like this one. I like the rhythm and the energy it has. I like that it references both Morticia Adams and Vlad the Impaler, which yeah, I like getting references, but also I like the way they're used in this. I am genuinely curious, who is who?
Okay, so the italics is me. So the even, uh, Shyamala opened up. Shyamala opened up with the first stanza, and I followed suit in the second. She's the third. I'm the fourth. Fifth, sixth is me. She's the seventh, and I'm the eighth. So she started. I finished. Odds for Shyamala, evens for me. So please give me your thoughts, and then I'll tell you.
Thoughts?
I'll tell you all the things that you're hinting on. But you, please, just give me your thoughts. I can't wait to tell you.
I I had a feeling I knew who was who, but I wanted to make sure. Um, you do have a recognizable style, I'll tell you that. I I really like the way you guys work together. Like it feels cohesive. It doesn't feel like two separate voices. It feels like if I didn't know, it could be just one author. Um, I really like the way you ended this. the last two lines, struggling for connection, wondrous words became the key. They free us for these moments from fear in you and me. I really liked that. Um, I like the way you're kind of referencing the image, but kind of just off on your own things.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it. Go ahead.
So this is Shyamalan is somebody that I had met in Late Night Poets, and that's where I first started hearing poetry read live in the shows, and they do a great job. I will never do anything but sing the praises of that group because they are big and they are very, very active and all of that. So I've met several people there, Shamla being one of them, and she was a hard rhymer. So what this references some of the stuff that was written by us. I have written stuff that she referenced about Morticia Adams, and she had written something about Vlad the Impaler. That is a gorgeous piece. She's got Romanian in it and all of that. And I was like, oh my Lord. So that's kind of how our friendship, it was an admiration. I would see how she wrote and she would see how I wrote, and we would learn from each other, and we grew together in kind of the same way through Late Night Poets, what they do and things like that. So it is a genuine friendship and camaraderie. We view each other as on the same level. We're at the same place and all that. Now, I can tell you this. One thing that I will never, ever, ever say I'm really good at is editing my own poetry, because I absolutely am horrible at spelling. I'll misspell the same word different ways. I'm that bad at it. And that goes back to the dyslexia. But I never really used that as a crutch. And I don't think I've even really made a big deal out of it, because to me it's not anything except for part of who I am. But I see things sometimes a little jumbled up, and we did very well together because I knew her strengths and she knew mine, and we played to that because we're familiar with each other as poets and all of that. So there's a vast distance. Her and I will never meet, and we've never had any kind of anything other than just being friends. Similar to, how I met you, Scarlett, before you come into our group. Once I met you and got to know you a little bit through your writing, and you got to know me through my writing, I guarantee you've read some things and you've thought, boy, Bill's really an emotional guy, but he could really use some spelling and grammar lessons. Because I get so excited about it, I just go and go and go, and I don't edit my own writing very well. But that's digressing. The thing is, you meet poets in this site that you tend to learn things from, and that's how a genuine friendship here comes about. I've got several people that I've met that are all within this group that have come and joined me here that I admire as poets. And she is one of them. Zach's one of them. You're one of them. There's several. Mike Horsfall, Pac-Man. I didn't know Pac-Man from nothing. Dark Knight of the Soul. I didn't know him until he come join the group, but I admire Jeg325, Garden Delights. It's so many, and I've probably missed a bunch. SKN, Mindchild Rain. There's lots of them that are here with us in this group that are ultra talented, and I'm glad they're here because they're all folks that I admire as poets. Okay, Scarlett.
That's beautiful.
And that's really what it's about. It's about, I'm sorry, the whole purpose of this was about two people that are so distant but are coming together on this one thing, which is writing and reading poetry and sharing that world. And it is a genuine admiration and friendship that we develop amongst other poets that we are drawn to reading for whatever reason. I'm sorry. There, I went on and on and on. See, I told you about the blathering on. So we're ready to move on to the next piece, I'm sure. I wonder
The
what it
next piece
is.
is Why Do You Have Such an Overactive Mind? Which is by Equine Anne and Purple Gerbera.
Uh-huh. Did you say algebra? That will thrill her if you thought algebra.
Oh,
Yes, because it says on her bio, it says, "Did you say algebra?" I bet you said algebra. I can't remember exactly what it said, which I did the first time, so I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. She got me.
I have no idea what I said.
Purple gerbera.
They did not give us an author's note to read. It just says who's on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is Why Do You Have Such an Overactive Head? Why do you have such an overreactive? Oh my gosh, have I been misreading that? No, sorry.
You're okay.
Let me start over. Why do you have such an overreactive head? When your day is over and you want to go to bed, put put rest to the ghosts of the past, to maybe get some sleep at last. Nights wasted away as you ponder and think and remember and wonder. Though it can be a good thing, there's lots of positives it can bring, like instant comprehension of good, helpful, and fascinating things, and the enjoyment this often brings. Then, when you finally get to sleep and have slept a while, you want to weep. As nightmares come and make you shake that much you wish you were awake, but the nightmares make you wish you were dead, rather than observing your thoughts in bed. Why do you have such an overreactive head, ruminating all about the world and politics, memories that keep you up till 6, the bags under your eyes now glare at the sunrise, another day, another dawn, another nightly hour simply gone. Go on with our day, up until your consciousness will fade, but remember what he, she, they said. What are the plans for Sunday? Baking biscuits or ordering takeaway? More thoughts now spent in dread. Why do you have such an overreactive head? End poem. I was struggling with that one.
I felt like it was delightful, though. It's funny. You could see just thoughts like a popcorn popper in their heads. And honestly, they mesh together very well. It's Equine Anne and Purple Gerbera. And they mesh together very well. So there's no mention of who wrote what line or anything like that. And it's kind of, I like the way it's structured because it's structured in the way that the makes the subject and the point of the subject and the title that much more clear, that much more, it resonates.
It really is train of thought.
Yes, because as you were reading it, I could hear you thinking and giggling at the same time as you were reading it, and it did. It'll trip you up because it had the flowing hard rhymes and stuff like that, and then the way they titled it. Why do you have such an overactive head? And the first line is, why do you often have an overreactive head? Overreactive and overactive. It's kind of the same thing, but a little different now, isn't it? You know,
Especially right after we were talking about like struggling with reading a little bit and a little bit dyslexic, I was like, did I really just misread the title?
it was so perfectly set up, wasn't it? I always say out loud, I can't plan how this stuff goes, the roller coaster ride, up and down and up and down and up and down, because the beauty of our format is you never know what you're going to read next. You could read a silly piece that makes you laugh and gut splitting laughter, and then next thing you know you're almost crying because the next piece is just so different. But I love what they did here. These two actually blended very well together, and I couldn't tell you. Anne has her own style. She has a style that she's very comfortable with, and it's hard rhyming, and she really does. She strives for perfectly metered and rhymed lines. That's what she does every single time because she thinks that way. And she's very musically inclined. I remember her telling me that. And it makes sense that she's musically inclined and her pieces read the way she writes them, like a musical piece where it's a very, very distinct rhythm and rhyme that is enjoyable and very effective. In this particular, the way her Anne and Purple come together on this, it was very effective. The structure of the piece was very effective to the mood and the thought, and that takes a little skill, to actually make your words read and look and feel all cohesive, especially when you're doing it with two poets. So good job by both Purple and Equine Anne. Really, really lovely piece. And it makes you think of, all these thoughts bouncing around in your head and you can't go to sleep. This, that, and the other. Everything's just chaotic and you're just laying there and just wish you could go to sleep, but it's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen. It's very, very enjoyable. Oh,
It almost made me think of when, like, you're trying to fall asleep and you're overthinking, and then you realize you're overthinking, and then you start overthinking about the fact that you're overthinking.
Beating yourself up about that. That's fair.
Yeah. You're still not sleeping because
Right.
you're overthinking about overthinking.
Right.
That's what the ending felt like.
Every time I've switched shifts on a job or anything like that, I worry about being late and I can't get to sleep, and it just kills my soul. But because I know it's going to happen, I know that's how I am.
I have a habit of, did I set an alarm? Am I sure I set an alarm?
Mm-hmm.
Am I sure I'm sure I set an alarm? Like, just repeatedly checking the same.
Right. Well, it's because being late sucks for me. That's why I hate it. Oh, so we're moving on. What do we got now?
Writing Through the Quiver.
This is by Aaron Farrow and Merv. Aaron is our poet of the month this month, and Merv was our second poet of the month, I believe. The first, last year, yep.
No author's note on this one.
Nope. We'll just figure it out. Well, now it's in parentheses, so they alternated.
They labeled it.
Yep. So they let us know the cat's out of the bag. Collab between Merv and Aaron Farrow, Writing Through the Quiver. I've got the jump, jive, and jitters shaking all that inside. I'm glad I got this one. I've got to tap on my noggin, aching to be free. It's what I learned in therapy to calm the cloak of chaos that's always following. The rainbow halcyon is welcome as much as a pink sky. I shake the tremors eventually. It's a high voltage quiver. Could it be rattled and roll? There's a ghost of a tempest deep down in my soul. I'm shaking all over, though there's no wind in sight. Just a rhythm that's breaking me under the light. I'm shaking all over, from my head down to my toe. I'm worried on the daily where my mind will go. I'm working and I'm tumbling on my very own soul. There's a diagnosis, the threat of climbing age. Will I make it to be the evergreen sage? Goals plummeting at corners. Will I see the new page? I've been lost in that daily grind since I was a lad, watching the thoughts in a dizzying swirl. If the older sage is a summit you're frightened to tread, we walk the shadows and silence the dread. We'll write the new poem together instead. End poem. I love that last line. Go ahead.
I love the first line. The last line's really good too, but there's something about this poem that even though you were reading it, I was mentally reading it in an Elvis impression the entire time.
Brian Setzer Orchestra is what I come up with. Do you know that?
No, I think that one's lost on me.
Stray Cats, Brian Setzer Orchestra. It's a different sound. Jump, Jive, and Wail. He did a song. It's that Jump, Jive, and Wail. It's a genre. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's stuff I want to know. love. I'm still laughing at the first line.
Right. That's
I don't
what
know why that got me.
did I actually say out loud what I was thinking at the end of that line?
That you're very glad you got this piece.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
Because as soon as I seen that alliteration, as soon as I read it, I was like, this is going to be fun. Now,
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
know if you heard me. I don't know if you heard me laugh and then instantly mute because I knew I was going to be laughing
Okay.
at this entire piece.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh,
Understand why.
I love the energy. I love the phrasing. I do like that towards the end it does have that seriousness, but it's still like light in a way, and it ends on a really positive note. That's really sweet. Um, I like how their voices work together. I really do. I think they really had like the same thought process almost going into it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
And
I think that's what my thoughts are.
with the collaboration, you have to feel the rhythm of whoever starts the piece. You know, I've done collabs. The one I did with Zach, um, Sidecar, was really just kind of shooting from the hip, and that's what this felt like to me. This just felt like a riff, a nice jam session between two poets where they started on one thought process, and you know, Aaron served and Merv volleyed, and then Aaron returned, and then Merv returned, and then before you know it, you have a cohesive thought. And the pattern, the first line though, you're right. I've got the jump, jive, and jitters, shaking all that inside. That's inside. When I read that, I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble here. I'm getting ready to stumble all the way through this alliteration because it was so much fun. I was smiling while I was reading it. It isn't that I was stuck on the words necessarily. It was that I was just enjoying them as they come together. And then, you know, it comes together in a more serious way later on down the piece. And it did. It transitioned to a serious deal whenever I think it was Aaron's second, my noggin. I've got to trap on my noggin aching to be free. I got to tap on my noggin aching to be free. Like there's a rhythm. She's tapping on her head, trying to get that rhythm out of her head or get it into it. And all of that. It's in her first stanza, and then in her second one, it starts, there's a diagnosis, the threat of climbing age. So as we get older, things start slipping and stuff like that is what it's saying. But then Merv finishes it up. We'll write the new poem together instead. We walk in the shadows and silence the dread. We'll write the new poem together instead. Meaning he's helping his friend. They're going to write together, and both of them will feel the same weird rhythm and aching in their head, and all of that. And it's so neat because they come together that way. You got any other thoughts on it, Scarlett?
No, I don't think. Actually, totally just random. Several pieces of this poem remind me of a song called Fascinating Rhythm.
Huh.
That's it. That's the entire thought.
Well, I'll tell you what. Um, I've got one song that it reminds me of, and I can send you a YouTube link to that song so you can laugh, and you send me the YouTube link to yours, and then we'll understand each other a little more on that, because we can't really play it on the air over here because it's trademarked, but we can
Of course.
share it.
Copyright.
We can share it in the comments of this piece, and it be something that we gathered from it, because it was a great piece, and I'm glad we closed with it because it was fun, and it was fun in a good way too. Not just a silly kind of fun, like a camaraderie type of fun. And Aaron and Merv worked very well together, as did all the collaborations. I really felt like they were good. And I hope in the future to do more of these collaboration shows where it's just us Parchies playing together, and we read them and we get to know each other that way. Because ideally what I'd like to see is if you collaborate with, say, me this time, next time you collaborate with Zach, and we do a kind of round robin thing, and we all just build our community that way, because collaborations are fun. They're neat if you get a good partner that is not afraid to voice their opinion and understands that if you're both on the same page and you're wanting the best thing, there's different ways to approach it. Just figuring out how is the hard part. And in a collaboration, have you ever done any collaboration, Scarlett?
I have not. I don't think so.
It's something that can
I did, but
be,
that was like in high school.
Yeah, it's something that can be a little bit intimidating, especially if it's a poet you admire. You know, if it's somebody, there was, I can't remember who it was that I had thought about trying to do a collaboration with, and I can't remember his pen name now because he's left all poetry, but it was somebody that I admired greatly, and I was intimidated. I was like, I don't really want to do a collaboration with him because I can't hold up my end. But when you get into it, you wouldn't believe how much fun and how easy it is. I've done 4 or 5 collaborations, and they've all been a great joy. So I encourage you, the next time, Scarlett, we do this, pick a partner and write a collab, because it's a different kind of poetry where you feel more like a jam session in a band, I would imagine. It's just kind of neat. It's really, really neat. And I think the group represented ourselves very well in these collaborations. Such a good time. And I'm going to have to tell you, thanks, Scarlett, for taking Zach's place here in the studio, reading poetry with me.
Oh, yeah.
We had a good time. We've spent an hour and 51 minutes at this point in time, but I knew it was a full show. We had 15 pieces, collabs, and all that stuff. We had quite a bit going on, and we sure got through it. Doesn't seem like it takes as long as it does it, when you're in it?
No, not really.
So again, I appreciate it. I appreciate your help, and I'm glad you joined me. Hopefully in the future, these things are changing because Podbean is forcing us to change. We will not do live shows again after next week. May 18th, there's no support for live shows. So, I'll have to figure it out. And it may end up being a hiatus for a while I go through the process of figuring out how to do it, because I don't want to do something and it not be as good as what we're doing now, which may actually mean I have to go to a different platform. I don't know. I've been working quite a bit and stuff like that, so I'm kind of behind on it. So we'll see where we get. And this is an announcement for the group as well as letting you know. There may be a few weeks here after next week where we don't do any shows until I get that all sorted out and we find a suitable replacement. So until then, we're kind of where we are. Now, see, Zach usually laughs. Scarlett. Thank you. That's a courtesy laugh. I appreciate it. They all count.
It took me by surprise. I was literally muted and unmuting as you turned it on.
That's what I try to do to Zach. I try to distract him and then hit him with the music, and then he always laughs like an idiot. So it's fun, and it is genuine too. I don't know how I trick him, because he looks at the pieces, but when we're in the show, you kind of get lost in what you're doing right then and forget about the whole thing. So once again, Scarlett,
Thanks for having me on.
thank you very much. I appreciate you calling in and helping me juggle the poetry. I appreciate it. Always a good time, isn't it?
Of course. I love being on. Whatever new format we end up with still allows for it.
And I will definitely let you know, because I appreciate you coming and helping me. Thank you. Have a good rest of your weekend.